Hey
We
Chris, how's it going?
a little bit hot, man. It is crazy hot in Canada these days. It's
Listen,
about
don't complain. Do not
no,
complain.
no, no, no. It's about 40 degrees Celsius right now outside. I'm looking at my backyard and I'm thinking I have to go and water plants and I'm not able at all.
Well, winter lasts for like 9 months in Toronto. I used to live there. So just, absorb the heat while you have it.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. As long as I have AC to sleep, I kosher.
I hear you. So welcome to my series of Plugged In.
My
We're on like
pleasure.
week 14 or something like that. But I know a lot of people have messaged me saying they're so excited to hear from you because, everybody uses your recipes. Even I do. So
Love it. Love
welcome
it.
to the show. Thank you for joining. So
Thanks for having me.
let's start with, where are you originally from?
I was born and bred in what we refer to as the capital of heaven, Trinidad and Tobago. I am a South boy, true and true. But when I come home, I try to come home every 3, 4 months. I usually stay more up in Cascade area now. I used to
Okay.
be up in Deco Martin, but wherever my sister moves, that's where I usually go. And it's a bed, right? I got to stay there, and there's all that love and everything else. But born and bred Trinbagonian, and I left in my late teens, and I ended up in Canada of all places.
Okay. And what was your, childhood ambitions? Did you always want to be a chef?
No, I got asked the same question not too long recently in another interview. Growing up on the islands, I wanted to be an Air Force pilot. However, I soon found out we have no Air Force in Trinidad, right? So that kind of went in a different direction. Other than that, I really had no real. If you ask me when I was a kid what I wanted to be, other than a pilot, nothing else. I fell in love with internet marketing when I moved to Canada, and I love business. I was surrounded by people who all own businesses in the Caribbean, in Trinidad. That came naturally. So what I do now is a combination of a passion for food and business, and I tie it on all together with the business of the acumen and social media skills that I learned over the years. I've been working from home for about 25, almost 30 years now
Wow.
on the internet. At one point, I owned close to 300 websites. I came home for Carnival one year, and I guess the Chinese got to it. They hacked it. And that's when I changed. I started to focus more on the food side of things.
Okay. Oh, wow. So your ambition was never necessarily to be a chef. So then how did you really fall into it? Like what were your like childhood memories, when it came to being in the kitchen? Like what really influenced that?
How I came about this whole thing came about as me documenting recipes for my daughters. Born and bred Canadians, but the kitchen reflect that of the Caribbean, of Trinidad and Tobago. And we all know our recipes are passed on verbally. It was never documented in any way other than the Naparima Girls Cookbook. Sylvia Hunt had a cookbook, which I'm still trying to find. If anybody knows where I can get one, please and thanks. But as a kid growing up on the islands, I just paid attention to what mommy would do, what my aunts would do, my uncles, my father. He's a very good cook as well too. And when you become an immigrant and you're in a country where everybody works, and my aunt had 2 jobs, I was living with my aunt, and I was home with my little cousins. Go to school, come back, and we had to eat. So I started to remember all that I used to see my mom doing, and I started to cook for us. Then when my daughters got older, I said, you know what, I'm going to start documenting recipes for them based on memory, as well. Now I have a great network of people I refer to that passes on recipes to me as
Right.
well too. Even Instagram, you guys are a great resource as well too when I'm struggling with a recipe, because the website is not Trinidad part, it's Caribbean part. So I try to do the cross section of the entire Caribbean. So I usually reach out to people, especially with the French Canadian and the French Caribbean and the Dutch Caribbean. Their recipes tend to be a little bit different than ours. But the website came about with me documenting recipes for my daughters. It was never meant to be anything, but because I know so much about internet marketing and search engine optimization and all those things, I implemented those things on CaribbeanPot.com. Sooner rather than later, ton of traffic because everybody loved the sort of format, step-by-step pictures, actual ingredient list with specific amounts. Because even today, I call my mom, how do I make this? Well, boy, you put a little pinch of this and a little bit of that. And I'm like, Mommy, no,
You never
that's
get
not
a
just me.
description of the measurements ever.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess this is what people fell in love with. And they started coming to the website, and the YouTube thing, it is huge now. But from a marketing standpoint, I only started using YouTube as a means of generating backlinks to the website. And that took off. And if you look at the older videos, it was never my face. My face was never on there. It was just me narrating over pictures. And someone told me, you got a great personality. Why don't you start appearing on camera? And lo and behold, right now I connect with about 1.3, 1.5 million people every month. And it's just growing at an alarming rate, you know? So it's a combination of reflecting back to where I'm from, the necessity of having to cook when you're the only one in the house kind of thing, and trying to pass on a culinary culture, a heritage as well too, you know?
Did you ever do any training, or is everything pretty much self-taught?
The Caribbean stuff is self-taught, but I did work for one of the biggest caterers here. Well, not caterers, an event center here in Hamilton. We hosted former President Bush, the older Bush. I worked that one night, but I was in the back of the house. So I was never really the go-to chef guy. I was more an assistant and stuff like that. But if you look behind me there, I collect cookbooks. So when I'm not on YouTube, when I'm not trying to pick somebody's brain, I'm also doing a lot of reading and stuff like that, because I try to figure out why certain things work together, why it wouldn't work together. And, you know, because I'm based in Canada, and you would notice from your years here, we can't always find the exact ingredients we would find back in the Caribbean.
Correct.
So I've got to try and find substitutes to give people to be able to do the recipe. So whether you're in Leeds, the United Kingdom, or you're in Serbia, you can still try and get the recipe as close as possible as it would be in the Caribbean.
I love that. Now, you mentioned cookbooks. So you are an award-winning cookbook author. So let's talk about that journey.
You know, I've had offers from higher-end publishers to do cookbooks. The last one, when I looked at the numbers, and this is one of the things I always tell people, always look at the numbers and have somebody in the industry or a legal representation look at it as well, too. They were walking away with thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and I was putting in all this work and nothing was going to be back to me. It's got to make sense. Mm-hmm. So that's when what we did was we created a digital cookbook, a digital ebook, right? And we said, we're going to sell 2,000 copies. We're going to test that, see how it goes. And then if it works out, we will do a physical copy. So yeah, we did the digital copy. It sold 2,000 copies. We retired that so no one could ever buy it again. And then we added 50 more recipes to it. And we created the book that is today, The Vibrant Caribbean Pot. That was a labor of love, the headache, the stress, everything else, because you've got to write not just in my accent or my personality. You got to make it in such a way that it's easy to read and understand for everyone, right? I brought in an editor, I brought in a graphic design person, I had a manager look after things, a lot of work. But in the end, it did win a Gourmand Award, which is like an Oscar for cookbooks. Thank you. It is a bestseller on Amazon now, to the point where it's sold out. Because of COVID, we've been sold out since December. And because of COVID, we haven't been able to print any more copies. So I'm not even sure if we're going to print anymore. Because
now more than ever, people are home cooking.
You won't believe the emails and the direct messages, to the point where they're getting mad at me. It's like, you should have it ready. I'm like, whoa, ease up, slow down. But there's plans for 7. It's supposed to be, so this one is volume 1. There's supposed to be 7 volumes. So I'm hoping by the end of summer, I will start volume 2. But in the meantime, I may release some mini cookbooks in digital format on the Amazon platform for the Kindle.
Okay. And I also know that you have been featured as one of the chefs at the Barbados Rum and Food Festival, which is a really big deal because they're the largest Caribbean food and rum festival. So you got to work alongside a couple of really great chefs. So, you know, what was that experience like as well?
Well, you know, for the marketing side of things and everything, I was really close with them. I get to eat what they prepared and stuff like that. But to work hand in hand, I didn't necessarily get to work hand in hand with them. However, I must say this, the BTI, Barbados Tourism Industry, or whatever it's called, BTI, I think it's called, they treat you grand. They really set you up nicely. It was a great opportunity to work in Barbados, be part of the whole Rum and Food Festival. And it is indeed one of the, or if not the best produced food festivals I've been to, and not just in the Caribbean, but globally.
Okay.
Because you have the food and you have the atmosphere, but then when you look out and the blue ocean is there, or
Yeah.
you hear steel pan in the background, or
And
you're at,
Barbados beaches are so amazing. Oh, one of my favorite places to
I'm
visit.
getting goosebumps. I've been trapped in Canada. Can you tell? Man.
Someone just said, can you give a shout out to Montreal? We love you here, chef.
Montreal. I'm gonna be. No, we're not going to Montreal. I'm going to Ottawa and then up into Quebec. Early August. I was in Montreal. Funny story, Kerra. We were in Montreal, and my dad and my sister and her husband were with us, and there was flowers everywhere, and they were picking the seeds of the flowers to take back to Trinidad to plant. I come back, I'm on Instagram, and I get like 3 or 4 direct messages. Oh, we saw you teething flowers in. I'm like, word. I'm like, small world, man. But Montreal's got a good vibe, man. I love me some Montreal.
What do you think is your inspiration, for everything that you do? Like, where do you get inspiration from?
At first it was my daughters, to be honest with you, because I wanted to pass on that sort of tradition and heritage, and I didn't want to have to cook for them and bring to university. I still ended up having to do so. But now the inspiration comes from the emails that I get from people saying, well, and I mean, I say it may seem a little bit, I don't know, pushing the envelope a little bit, but you saved my marriage, or I'm cooking this for daddy because mommy died 10 years ago and he hasn't had this in 10 years. And the tears that came on his face when he tasted it, the little kids that's growing up. And, I travel quite a bit in the Caribbean, and I'm seeing this love for that KFC and all that stuff like that. And the recipes are just disappearing. So to be able to catalog and to pass on that tradition as well. And, again, because of the people I have around me, my mom, my dad, my sisters, everybody who's always trying to find information for me, it makes it so easy to do what I'm doing. And I enjoy it. I honestly do enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten any like wild emails or wild messages? I always ask about like a crazy fan story. So
no,
okay.
I did have someone chase me down at Pearson one time.
Okay.
Here's the thing though, when you're in the public, and I have a personality where I'm very friendly, and I try to be friendly because I want you to feel as if you're a part of my kitchen. You're in my kitchen with me. And people tend to think because they know me, I know them, but I don't know the people. I love to say hello and everything. She chased me down, grabbed me, hugged me, and I'm like, what's going on here? I don't even. She goes, oh my God. I finally invite mommy to dinner every time now, and she can't believe how good I cook. And I'm like, I still don't know who you are, man, kind of thing. But it turned out good. Just gotta be.
You just have to receive the energy, receive the love.
Yeah. No crazy fan stories. Not really.
Okay.
No.
What was your first like food memory that completely blew your mind?
Blew my mind was recently. We were in Europe, and we were in Spain and Barcelona, and we were heading to France and then to Italy. And I've been saving myself to eat pizza in Napoli, home of pizza. I had better pizza, and I'm talking about pizza I talk about every day, every opportunity I get in Barcelona. There's this little Italian joint across from the Airbnb on Las Ramblas there where we stayed. And I'm not a pizza lover, but I ate pizza every day. That was so good. I never had pizza as good. Nice thin crust, perfect amount of cheese, and I love all these vegetable toppings and stuff like that. Then you could have it tailor-made. So if you divide it up into quarters, so you have 4 quarters with different stuff on there. And I had some with prosciutto, so the salt and the oh my word. But yeah, that really stood out. Nothing else to be. I still love mommy's food. I still crave mommy's food. So I still think she's the benchmark for me as from a food perspective as well too.
So outside of the pizza, like what's another like guilty food pleasure?
No, pizza is not a guilty pleasure. It's
okay. That's just your fondest memory. Okay.
Yeah, I grew up with Trinbagonians. We love Chinese food, right? But Thai and Vietnamese, boy, oh. I can eat that stuff just about every day. That fresh vegetable and the way they stir fry, and they have that ginger and lemongrass, and they toss in that bird's eye pepper and stuff like that. I really do love it. Lately been killing the ramen soup as well too. Ramen is climbing up on my list.
And what is your most memorable like part of your career?
Most memorable, I think the day when the truck backed up in my driveway with two skids of cookbook, and I, for the first time, I'll be seeing it, and I opened it, and I have some pictures somewhere of the joy and the look on my face. I'm glad someone was able to take that picture of me, but you know, you get your little baby, and I knew how much time and energy and the headaches and everything else, even, and you don't want to work with creative people. When you work with a graphic designer, they have a vision of what your stuff is supposed to look like, and you're like, no, listen to me.
Yeah, this
thing,
is what I wanted.
But yeah, that moment was incredible. Then I remember being in Seoul, South Korea, and dining across from the mayor of Seoul and having him describe what was served to us, and there's 200-300 years old, these recipes. And I was like, wow, your boy reach, boy. I have the big man himself telling me what is this, you know? So yeah, those two things, man.
Okay. And what's your signature dish? And do you have like a favorite recipe?
I love pilau, boy. I love pilau. I love pilau. I love pilau. I was team dry for years and years and years, but
so now you're a wet pilau person.
I'm starting to move over to the dark side kind of thing. But I love me some pilau. I make just about anything good on the barbecue. I love grilling. I love smoke and raw fire and stuff like that. I really do. But signature dish, it would have to be a good pilau.
Okay. Would you say that's your best recipe as well? In your opinion?
My ginger stew chicken is probably my best.
Ginger stew chicken. My mouth just watered.
Yeah. And I make it really good. If you guys go to the website, you will see I have a pineapple pepper sauce. That pepper sauce lasts like no tomorrow, man. It's real good.
Okay. And you usually experiment by, fusing Trinidadian food with Jamaican food and so forth, right? So growing up in Trinidad, you would have kind of learned more of the Trini style. So how did you learn about making the jerk chicken and the oxtail and all that other stuff?
It would have to be a combination of two things. When I moved to Canada, and in Hamilton here, we're west of Toronto, back then there was a handful of Black people, and we all kind of hung together. So I had a friend from Jamaica, a friend from Dominica, and a friend from Barbados. And on the weekends, one of them, Richard, he's still a DJ, we would go down to Eglinton to buy the latest records coming out of Jamaica. And those trips would usually include stopping to eat. It would be the beef patty and cocoa bread, or the curry goat and rice, the oxtail. And then from memory now, I remember how it tasted. I would start experimenting and playing around with it. And then when I would go back to Richard's house, his grandma was always there cooking as well too, old lady. She would have been in her early 70s, around there. So I would always watch her and peek in the kitchen and stuff like that. And she was always willing to tell me and stuff like that as well too. My friend from Barbados, his mom was always willing to show me how they would make their soups. And it's the first time I've ever seen anybody put sugar in the dumplings in the soup. And I'm like, where? Tried it.
Okay.
And I do it now. You put a little bit of brown sugar in the flour when you're kneading it. Oh man, is it ever good? But yeah, and then, having the ability to travel throughout the Caribbean, I'm always up and down the island. So and once I travel, I always find myself in a market, in a restaurant. I love street food, and I find two areas you can tell how the people live and more about the culture is the market and street food. Not so much the restaurants, but those two areas. You got to love it, man.
What's your favorite street food, and like in what country?
I love a grill. This is going to sound weird, but I love the grilled hot dog in downtown Toronto, man. With all the toppings. I just do. You put the onions and tomato and ketchup and
mustard. And they're huge. They're like jumbo hot dogs.
Yeah, but it's something, as soon as I hit Toronto, I've got to search out one of these guys, and I'm like, gotta find it. You can't beat the doubles in Trinidad. The simplicity and the value.
But it's not from everywhere though. You have to find like a good doubles vendor. Because
I got caught up with that nonsense too, because my rule of thumb was wherever there's the biggest line.
That's what. No, that's
not. No. It means that that's the only vendor around.
Yeah, for like
Yeah, don't sleep on a good Trinidad oyster, man, as well too. A good oyster shot. Oh man, that's some good stuff there.
So funny story, when I was growing up, I mean, to this day, I think I hate oysters, but my mom used to always take me on a Friday so she could get oysters. And I'd be like, yes, I want oysters, hold the oyster. I just want the sauce. Because the sauce that they make is so good. Oh my goodness. I don't know. To this day, I need to figure out what it is that they put in that sauce. But I would just have sauce and my mom would be drinking the oysters. And I'm like,
you know, the funny thing is, I think the recipe is going to drop maybe this weekend. I'm not sure yet. I did a chow pineapple cherries. Cherries are in season here in Canada now, and right now we're getting really good pineapples on sale, like $1. So I did a pineapple cherry chow with a grapefruit base. So the liquid is grapefruit, right? I go in the fridge, all of the juice is gone from it. It's just the cherry. Because that's what they do here. My daughter, Taya, she drinks the stuff. It's the same thing like the sauce from the oysters, because you got a shadow benny and the pepper and the garlic.
It's absolutely delicious.
Yeah, man.
At the end of every chow, that's what you end up doing. After you eat out the pineapple and the cucumbers and whatever else is in there, you sit there and you drink it till you cry because there's so much.
Well, yeah, you can't take it, but you can't stop, right?
It's I think that's definitely one of my childhood memories, for sure. What's your favorite ingredient that you cannot like cook without?
Boy, there wouldn't be one. It's a combination of garlic, onion, thyme.
Okay.
I love those three things. And just about and tomatoes. Everything I cook, it finds its way in there. I get licked sometimes because people are like, oh, tomatoes don't go in curry chicken. Well,
I do. I put it in mine. I've heard somebody say that to me too.
The acidity works and it helps thicken the gravy later on. They don't realize that. They didn't sleep on that much.
It's okay. And I've been doing that for so long. And my friends have said the same thing. Like when I tell them the recipe, they say tomatoes in curry. I'm like, you don't know. And I even slice tomatoes on the side. I have a thing with tomatoes and curry, that if I'm eating curry, I have to have sliced tomatoes on the side for some reason. I don't know.
I grew up with mommy having cucumber and watercress.
Yes, watercress for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, but you know, Kerra, if you look at the history of curry, and you look at India, you look at all the Asian countries out there, they all put tomato in their curry. That's their base. It's a tomato sauce.
Yeah.
So I don't know since when we own the copyright to curry, but hey.
It's okay. They will try your recipe and then they will never go back to not having tomatoes. So.
That's what I'm saying.
What's your favorite kitchen tool?
I love a mortar and pestle. I have a nice marble, sort of a stone one that I picked up in the US about a year ago. And the amount of questions I get in regards to that, where did you get it? Where did you get it? And reminds me of the, on my mom's side family, my grandma had one of those stone with and she would grind everything with it.
Yeah.
And it's called a Laura or something like that. It reminds me of that, and everything I make, from tomato choka to, I even did a green seasoning in there. I pounded it, and I just love that to pieces. I love a nice sharp knife too, though.
Yeah, sharp knives are my thing.
Yeah.
And what do you think is like, do you have a certain way that you prepare your food?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I love to season and marinate, as I learned growing up.
No salt and black pepper. It's everything is going in there.
Everything.
Yes.
Salt, black pepper, everything is going in there, man. And then at the end, I will taste it. But I've become so good at it, I can just look at the volume of meat or vegetable, and I already know how much salt I'm going to need. But again, salt is one of those things where my tolerance for salt will be different than yours. So I try to tell people, taste it near the end and adjust it accordingly, kind of thing.
So in the start of the video, it was the curry with potatoes. You put salt in your food. And it was like, so this girl comments in Danish and she's like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of salt. Because it was literally like this.
No, but you know, the thing is, if you consider how much potato was in there versus how much chicken was in there, and I didn't add any at the end either, later on in the cooking process, right? But it works. Trust me, it works.
Yeah. Now, what dishes can, like when people come to visit you, what kind of dishes can we expect to, I'm coming over for lunch or dinner. What can I expect to get at your house?
Whether you're from the Caribbean or not, I always try to represent the Caribbean, because that, at the end of the day, is my sort of comfort zone, right? If I know you're a good cook and you cook the same oxtails and the curry chicken and all those things, I might toss you something Italian, a good pasta sauce and stuff like that. If I'm in my mood, we're gonna go outside and we're gonna grill something. It can be minus 40 degrees Celsius. I don't care because I love fire. And I have a smoker, I have a charcoal grill, I have a propane grill, I have a coal pot, and I have a wood burning stove. So any opportunity to go outside, not today, 40 degrees Celsius, man ain't going out there. But other than that, yeah, man, outside, we're doing some nice things out there too. And I grow quite a bit in the summer months of what I use. All my peppers.
I noticed that, and I really love that.
My herbs, everything, I grow all of it, right? So
that's awesome.
Well, I don't want people to only think that food is about how you see it on TV, on a stove, and a chef on a stove, and then he plates it or she plates it. Where does that food come from? And this is why I have my gallivanting series that I do. I show people my garden. I want people to understand when I talk about food, and everybody talks about farm to table and organic and all those things. We've been living that life for eons in the Caribbean. That's nothing new to us. So when I can go in my backyard and pick a lettuce or a thyme or an eggplant, I know what went into that eggplant. So I don't mind teaching people that as well too, right?
That's very important, especially now more than ever. People need to start, living a healthier lifestyle. I'm also on that path now. I've eaten horribly for a lot of years, and now I'm trying to watch what I eat, do more smoothies and greens and that sort of thing. We want to live till we're 100 at least.
My grandma on my dad's side was 104, on my mom's side was 99. So I'm hoping to keep up the trend.
I feel like you're gonna be okay. What do you think is the secret to a good meal?
I think love shows up in food, man. Once you prepare that with love and you want the person eating it to enjoy it, they will enjoy it because it shines through. If somebody toss you a fried egg and some toast, you're like, nah, this ain't right, man. This ain't gonna taste good, kind of, because no love went into that. And I ain't trying to hate on the egg again because I love an egg as well too. I don't want egg.
But how much love could you really put in one egg in 2 minutes?
I don't know, man. But I think once you do it out of your heart, kind of thing, it shines through. To be honest with you,
I agree. And how does it make you feel knowing that there's hundreds of thousands of people around the world that use your recipes daily? I'll tell you, every time I have to make something that I don't know how to make, I go on YouTube and I'm like, okay, Caribbean pot, what can I do? My girlfriend actually is on here. She's outside grilling right now, and she just did your grilled fish the other day. I didn't taste it because I'm in Trinidad and she's in Toronto, but based on all the other girls, they said it was amazing. So, how does it make you feel knowing that you've touched so many people? Because I exactly what you said, like food is love to me as well. Sharing and communing over food is sharing love. So how does that make you feel?
Well, we're going to go back to a question you asked me earlier. Where does the inspiration comes from? And that is part of the inspiration as well. When you get that email or you get that comment and somebody says, man, that thing real lash or it real rocked or I couldn't believe I can make it. Those things, it really touches my heart kind of thing, because I know at the end of the day, while I'm enjoying things and everything else, it means that others are enjoying it as well too. So it's kind of reassuring, and it's like a pat on my back more than anything else, right?
Yeah. What would you say are some of the difficulties that you faced being an entrepreneur in this industry?
A few things. One, people not knowing the culture of the Caribbean, because if you search vegetable fried rice on YouTube, the top video is my video. Most people are like, fried rice? This black dude making fried rice. What does he know about fried rice? But they don't understand our history, the Chinese connection, the Indian.
Okay, I'm not 100% sure what happened there. His battery probably died, or maybe his phone rang. So we'll give it a moment until he pops back in. How's everyone doing? Happy Thursday. I kept saying happy Tuesday to everyone. Sorry.
I don't know, I got booted off.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what happened? It's too early for you to be booted off.
So not understanding this sort of culture and stuff like that, I get a lot of hate from that. Doing everything myself, it's difficult, because when you have to be the recipe developer, you have to be the staging, you have to be the film, you have to be the editing, you have to be the photographer, you have to be, and remember, when you start cooking, nothing stops for you. It keeps going. So you got to stop, pause, shoot kind of thing.
Yeah.
The beauty about it is, because I use the internet as my platform, and I knew the internet coming into this, I kind of like skipped that sort of learning curve. I already knew YouTube. I already knew Instagram and Facebook and building a list and website development and all those things. So, but the other side of things is, I think once I've kind of pushed myself in this sort of niche Caribbean, so I don't get the big advertising dollars like people with smaller audiences in North America get, right? I don't get that sort of respect kind of thing. But I'm just going to continue pushing, and hopefully that comes in time kind of thing. Because I love to do some big brand deals and stuff like that. I've had some, but not as much as my peers in the same sort of space on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that.
Okay. So what advice would you give to persons, you know, who want to like come into this digital space and want to start, you know, doing more marketing and being in this whole, you know, internet life?
One, brand from the start. Think about it, the big picture kind of thing. Now, when I first started, I didn't brand my name correctly on Twitter. I wish I had done Caribbean Pot on Twitter. That is Obzuki on Twitter, but everything else is Caribbean Pot. Branding. Think about branding. Now, if you're gonna have a public life versus a professional life, keep the public life, that sort of, yeah, we went out for beers last night and we got drunk and we did this and we did that. Keep that one under lock and keys. Only your friends and invites can you know, you don't want possible business contacts seeing that sort of lifestyle. And it takes a lot of work. It's no longer easy. I mean, you can get a video go viral and then you take off. There's no luck does play a part when it comes to viral videos and stuff like that, but it takes a lot of work. Don't give up. And you know, one of those things is you won't see numbers immediately. I've been doing this in 2009, and that's how long it took me to build what I have. And once you've built it, maintain it, and you got to keep pushing out content. Content is king. It will always be king. And treat people with respect, kind of engage, respond. And with me, I found that trying to accept people like part of a larger family. So you will see me wish my daughter happy birthday and let people know it's one of their birthdays and stuff like that. I want them to feel involved kind of thing.
Right. And you want to be relatable.
Exactly. So, and once people start coming up to you and saying hello and they want a picture and stuff like that, remember, this is the life you chose kind of thing. So you have to make time for these people, because without them, there's no
you wouldn't be who you are. Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I try to be as welcoming as I can, and I put in the work and it shines through. Yeah.
Do you have a role model?
No, I don't think so. I look up to my parents. You will always hear me talk about my parents. I probably mentioned my mom and dad a few times now, because to be honest with you, they're my heroes, man. I know the life the sacrifices they made for the life they wanted to give me and my brother and my two sisters, and in return, their grandchildren now. So they're my heroes. If anything, I don't really look up to anyone per se kind of thing, but there are people I admire because of their business acumen and stuff like that. But my mom and dad is still number one, man. Those are the people I look up to kind of thing.
Hi, Mom and Dad. They're probably so proud of you. If there was one person, anyone, you know, in the whole world that you could introduce Caribbean cooking to, you know, you are cooking for them, who would that person be?
That's an interesting question. I had always wanted to meet Mandela, and it never happened. It's never going to happen.
You know who also said that? Major Hype also said that.
Really? Yeah?
Yes. His was, you know, if he could meet someone and have a conversation, and he said Mandela. So that's really interesting.
Yeah. Other than that, you know, so you see, when it comes to Caribbean food and introducing someone to it, I would expect that person to have the means of further exposing our food through their social media or whatever. So I wouldn't mind somebody, and I love the business acumen of Puff Daddy, Puffy, whatever name he goes by now. I love his business acumen.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he would, if he broadcast it out there, well, then we'll get some notoriety for our food. And not as if we need it. We don't need it. Food speaks for itself. But I think he's probably one of the people I would want to, kind of thing.
Okay. What would you prepare for him?
It would have to be something that is not every day. I will not do jerk chicken. I will not do curry. I will not do rice and peas. It would have to be some sort of salad of some sort with like a champagne / passion fruit vinaigrette kind of thing. Just to throw
maybe
in that
like
sort
some smoked herring or something different mixed up.
I'm telling you, toss something out there kind of thing that they won't necessarily be exposed to. They'll be like, what? This has been going on and we don't know about it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I had a smoked herring pie. I don't know if you ever go to the market on a Saturday morning at Queen's Park, Savannah. There's a couple there, a Dreddy and a Reds. I like he's my good friend anyway.
Do you want to describe what those two things are for the people that are not sure what a Reds is and a Dreddy?
Hey, people protesting, don't get me in trouble. But anyhow, they do a smoked herring pie there. Oh boy, mama.
There's a place as well right off of the highway in Central in Kufa.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that they're there to like maybe lunchtime, but they're there from 6 a.m. That's the first time I had a smoked herring pie. Yeah. And now I will religiously go there every week or two just to go get it because I've never had it. And to be honest with you, my favorite dish is dal rice and smoked herring, the way my grandmother used to make it.
I wouldn't say it's my favorite dish, but I love dal rice and sardines with a lot of onions and tomato. You know, the tin sardines?
Yes, I watched your video today, actually, with the sardines. I'm very particular with the fishy taste. So I've never, like my grandmother used to make salmon and sardine and I would eat it. But I have never actually tried it because I'm scared that I make it and I throw it away because it tastes too fishy. But I saw that you put a lot of onions and all this other stuff. So
yeah, and you can even try it with some lemon juice or lime juice at the end as well. So it cuts that a bit.
Yeah.
Something basic like that. Can't go wrong. And
or a little corned beef and rice.
Oh gosh. What is it, Honaman food?
now it's expensive people food because a tin of corned beef is like $27 in the grocery right now.
Yeah, so. I noticed that. I'm sure. I know the funny thing is earlier I was hungry. I was out in Toronto coming back and I'm like, I'm hungry, man, but I don't feel like paying $17 for oxtail, right?
Yeah.
So I have some roti in the fridge. I'm gonna stop and buy a tin of salmon and I'm gonna make some salmon and roti. Corned beef is cheaper than salmon. I'm like, what's going on?
Oh my. And that used to be the thing, was corned beef, salmon, sardine.
Man,
how life has changed.
Yeah. When salmon busting style on you, you know things tough, boy.
Yeah. Do you have a food philosophy?
Eat clean kind of thing. I love simplicity. I love, but I also believe in seasoning, and I don't mean salt and pepper. I grew up in the Caribbean, so I love herbs. But I love eating clean and treating vegetables and meat and stuff like that, like how it's supposed to be treated. Mm-hmm. I'm not one to take 10 grains and try and make a vegan burger. Nothing against vegans. If all they want to do a burger, do all a burger. But I will take those same 10 beans and make 10 different dishes and treat those beans with respect and make a wicked meal out of each one of those. You know what I mean? But eating clean, I love eating tasting stuff when I make it. Don't overpower with too much of any one thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I overdo when it comes to garlic, onions, and shadow beni. Like I need shadow beni in every single thing, and it has to have garlic, has to have onions. Everything else, I'm like, okay, you know. Yeah. And I used to eat a lot of pepper up until like 3 days ago, when my doctor said you're gonna need to stop eating peppers. So I'm crying on the inside right now. But
you know, the funny thing is, someone was describing me to another person. Yeah, and they said, "Oh, you mean the guy with the hat and he cooks with a lot of pepper?" I'm the pepper guy, I guess.
No, you do. And then you say, you know, I'm not going to put the seeds in and the membrane, and I'm just going to cut from here and I'm going to put the ends. Because every time I look at the recipes now, I'm like, damn, I can't put pepper in it. But I'm going to listen to what she told me. And hopefully in a couple of months again, I'll be able, because I was that, you know, throwing pepper, Scotch bonnet and everything. My girlfriends hate to eat anything from me because they don't eat pepper. And I'm like, yeah, but pepper makes everything taste better. So.
Well, that's me. When I know I'm making something I don't want to share, I lace it with pepper, man. It's too spicy. I'm like, yeah, oh well.
More for me.
Yeah.
What do you think, like what makes you stand out amongst other Caribbean chefs in your opinion?
I'm knowledgeable in. I personally think I'm knowledgeable, especially when we talk about gardening, for instance. I can talk about the vegetables and the meats and all these different things because I'm from the country. I'm from the country in Trinidad.
Hmm.
I know a lot about how chicken is raised, pork is raised, everything. I know how to do my own gardening and stuff like that. And being able to know how those ingredients come about and how to use them and how to treat them and stuff like that. I think I'm a little bit ahead of people because if you go to culinary school, you don't go to culinary gardening. You know what I mean? You don't go to gardening
Yeah.
school, so you still relying on somebody to get you that tomato or the cucumbers. You will do amazing things with it, sure. You know what I mean? And the other side to that is, you watch TV and you hear people using Kobe beef or something to make a burger, and I'm like, you just spent $50 on a piece of beef to make two burgers, and you're telling and you're trying to convey to people that you're the world's greatest chef.
Hmm.
What if I gave you a 20-year-old piece of cow and I tell you to make a burger? Would you be able to do it that I would eat it? And that's the true test. You
Yeah.
look at what our grandparents did with cassava and dashin and yam and saltfish, smoked herring, and the kind of meals they would prepare
Hmm.
from basic ingredients. Those are the true chefs. Those are
Yeah.
the award winners. They don't have the high end quality meats and all these different things, and they rock the meals, man.
Very true. Because some of the things they come up with, you'd have to be like, really? Like, because I
Yeah,
wouldn't have thought to put that together, you know?
yeah, man.
Okay. And what advice would you give to, like, the avid person that's trying to cook? What is something that somebody who is now learning to cook, so, whether it be myself or whoever else, that's not a big chef, what advice would you give to them?
Don't be intimidated in the kitchen. If you're going to be preparing a meal and you're following a recipe, I would suggest you prep everything and have it already laid out in an easy format, and have it a way that how the ingredients appear in the recipe, so from left to right kind of thing, so
Hmm.
as soon as you move from left to right, it's already in the pot, so you can't
Right.
sort of make a mistake kind of thing. Know that there will be errors and there will be times when it won't taste perfect, but the point is you tried and you move on and you try again. The other side to that is you're going to find ingredients in there that it just doesn't appeal to you, and there's no reason why. Use a recipe as a sort of a map.
Hmm.
You're going to get from point A to point B, but you can take your own little directions and
Right.
little
And you
detours and
can
all that.
mix things as you see fit.
Exactly. You don't like garlic. I don't know who they are, but don't put garlic then. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, have fun. Make it fun. If you make it fun, and if you can include, if you have children and stuff like that, because at some point in their life, because if my mom didn't include me, I probably wouldn't have liked the kitchen. She didn't
Hmm.
force me to come and do stuff. But on a Saturday when she was seasoning the chicken for Sunday's big lunch, I went and I got the thyme. I went and I got the ginger out of the garden. I may go to the
Right.
garden and get the Scotch bonnet pepper for her or something. And she was like, all right. And then when she's done seasoning the chicken, me and my brother, we want to smell it because that all that herbs and all that kind of stuff. So she included us, but she didn't force us, kind of thing. And I
Hmm.
think being inclusive and encouraging your kids and those around you to cook and cook as a family, it's great.
Okay. Are you ever gonna do like cooking classes?
I have been approached by Udemy, which is the university sort of arm of Amazon. I said no to them because I didn't have the time, but sooner or later I will. The goal is to have a studio here where I can film plus do chef's table and cooking classes. And but it's a little way away kind of thing, because
Hmm.
here's the problem though, Kara, is that I enjoy what I do and I have a freedom unlike anything I've ever done before. I just don't want to start something that I cannot complete or I cannot put like
Right.
focus and stuff like that. um Sooner or later I think I will, because either that or I go the route of a restaurant. Now if I go the route of a restaurant, I'm going to be tied down, and I really don't want to be tied down.
Yeah.
But if I do the classes, it can travel with me. So when I'm in Trinidad, when I'm in Jamaica, when I'm in
Hmm.
Norway, take a little bit of the Caribbean to Norway with me.
Yeah. So would that be your ultimate goal, being able to do those classes and so forth, or do you have something bigger in mind for long term?
I have something I'm working with Amazon right now that's going to be ready maybe next month, I think. So on those streaming devices, you're going to see me on there, kind of thing.
Okay.
Long term cookbooks, man. I really think we need to document more, and while the print industry is supposedly dying, we see
Mm-hmm.
newspapers dying, magazines dying, and they all moving digital. People are still tactile and they want that physical hardcover kind of cookbook because it not only lies in the kitchen, it stays in the living room, on your coffee table as a sort
Like,
of a
I'm sure
coffee.
your mom's house still has an Aparima cookbook for
It
sure.
does, yeah. And she doesn't even need it. She doesn't
Mm-hmm.
even need it. See?
Yeah.
But working on more cookbooks. The dream is to have at least 7. So hopefully the early fall I will start back again, I think.
Okay. And is there anything that you would like to see changed in the industry?
In the industry, I think I still think we eat unhealthy as when it comes to Caribbean food. You look at a soup, for instance, a Saturday soup, and it's carb on carb on carb on carb. We
But
start
it's
from the
delicious, delicious, delicious.
but we no longer work as we used to. We're no longer in the fields and working those
Yeah.
those manual jobs that would burn it all off, right? I think we got to do that. I think chefs got to really promote portion sizes as well, because
Mm-hmm.
we have a responsibility as well. Because if we don't push it and encourage it, it won't be ever heard, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely think we need to do that. And from a home standpoint, I think as a parent, if you're a parent, excuse me, if you want your kids to eat apples and watermelon and grapes and stuff like that, the easiest way. I go buy a watermelon when my daughters were younger. I'd cut it up and put it in a container in the fridge. So rather than reach for soda, they would go in. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
doing the groceries. They're not doing the groceries. So when you bring home a bag of chips or you bring home a candy or something, that's how it got home. Don't be mad at them when they eat it or drink
But
the soda.
I think that works because to this day, when I go visit my dad, I'm not a big fruits person, and he knows that. But he will buy papaya, and he has soursop growing, so he will cut it up and put it for me, and then he'll say, "Okay, there's fruits in the fridge," and I'm like, "No, I'm not," and he said, "No, no, it's already cut up." So then I'll
Yeah,
bring it home, I'll put it in a smoothie, So it definitely helps when the parents are doing that because children are not necessarily gonna say, "I want to go pick up an apple, I want to cut an apple and do all," but if it's readily made, that's how you can really start implementing that into their lives and have them start being healthier.
yeah. I remember reading an article where I think 30 or 40% of people in the United Kingdom didn't know how to peel an orange nor a banana. You
Okay, I
wouldn't
know how to
think
peel
that.
a banana. I don't know if
You
I've peeled
wouldn't
an
think
orange
that, but
before.
I'm like, really? Nah, that can't be right. But that's according to the survey. Yeah.
Because when you go into Sobeys and when you go into, all these other places, it's already prepackaged. You're
Yeah.
getting all your fruits cut up in a bowl and you don't really have to do anything. And we live in a society where it's instant gratification. So people are not going out there to buy fruits. I mean, the majority of the population is not going out there to purchase fruits and then having to cut it. And they're like, no, I could spend $3 more and it's already cut. Like the garlic situation, you
Yeah.
can buy garlic for next to nothing, or you can spend $10 and then get it already peeled. And
Yeah.
and I go through it. I'm like, do I want to peel it? Do I want to spend $10 more? But I'm like, okay, that's just sheer laziness. Just buy the one and peel it, unless you're on the go or whatever the case is, right? But it's definitely a situation of like instant gratification. People are just very lazy, unfortunately. And like you rightfully
Yeah.
said, it's not like back in the day where there's a lot of hard labor, you know?
Yeah, because I buy the mangoes, I peel it and I slice it up and I put it there. I have grapes, which as soon as I bring it home, I wash it, and it's there. Just pluck and eat. And they're older now; they don't even need me to do it. But the point is, it's there, and I've encouraged that from since day one, kind of thing. So it's something we need to practice as well too, because we can't be calling and oh gosh, boy, you need to lose some weight or something. I mean, you're the reason why little Johnny's putting on that belly, man. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so I like to, ask some nice and cool questions. So, what's your favorite place to relax, like to escape and relax?
COVID tells me it's my backyard for now, but I love anywhere where there's water. So if it's a river, the ocean,
Me
anything, I
too.
just have to sit there, and
Hmm.
I just love that. On days when I'm kind of missing the Caribbean. I've been here 30 years. I still miss home. I still consider the Caribbean home. and it'll be the middle of winter, and I'll find myself at a waterfall here in Ancaster or something. I need that water around me, kind of thing.
So do you think that that's like your happy space?
It is, definitely.
Okay, we have that in common. When I come back to Toronto, I'm actually going to call you because I've heard about these waterfalls in Hamilton and all up on that side, and I've never been. So I definitely want to check
quite
it
a bit, all over. I think we're called the city of waterfalls, to be honest with you.
Okay. Where do you like to eat out in like Hamilton or in Toronto?
I love me some Thai and Vietnamese, so it's a little cheap, little rundown place down on Cannon Street. It's called Pho Dao Ba, and they do an awesome stir fry with shrimp and beef with a lot of peppers, and lemongrass. They do awesome, and it's a recipe I'm going to share soon. Deep fried frog legs. Oh my word, it is awesome. And I've got frog legs.
Face. Just look at my face right now.
Deep fried, and it's like a chicken wing, man. It's so good.
Oh my gosh, I think I just threw up a little bit in my mouth. Oh, yeah.
You know, in some parts of the Caribbean, we eat frog legs, right?
Yeah, I know. My dad has told me, but it's not something that I'm particularly going to be like, yes, this is what I want to do. If someday you get tired of cooking, you know, is there anything else that you could do anything else in the world? What would you want to do?
I would want to a videographer to document cultures and cities, and I love trains and train journeys. I'm watching a series now on the BBC of those little tiny, I guess they call toy trains in India, up in the Himalayas up there. I love to document and make movies.
Okay. And describe your food, like your cooking, in one word.
Vibrant.
It's like Caribbean people.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I usually ask people to describe a color to a blind person, but I'm going to switch it for you. So I want you to describe the taste of curry chicken to someone that like has lost their taste bud. So they've never tasted anything before. They don't have that taste bud. So describe to someone who cannot taste what curry chicken tastes like.
They would know herbs and garlic and stuff like that, right?
No. This is where your imagination has to go wild.
I wouldn't even know where to start then. To be honest with you, if you don't know herbs and you don't know garlic, man.
So I'll tell you, I'll give you a little secret. So when I usually ask, describe a color to a person that's blind, they try to use feelings to describe the color. So think of something like that. Yeah.
Well, obviously spicy will come in at some point, right?
But they don't know what spicy
they don't know spicy either.
Like. Yeah. A
feeling for curry. Wow, you stumped me there, boy. And I've done these interviews like
this is what makes the Plugged In series different from everyone else, okay?
It would be euphoria. It would be euphoria on
there we go.
Kind of thing. For me, anyways.
Someone said heaven and succulent.
Yeah, that euphoria you get with so many different things happening in your mouth and the comforting feeling. And then it takes me back to, my mom didn't cook much curry because my dad was never a fan of curry. But her aunt who lived next door, she would rock some wicked curry up there. We'd smell it drafting coming down. And, you know, when I eat the curry, that's what it takes me back to kind of thing. It's a time and place as well, too.
Okay.
Euphoria.
Yes, someone said curry is life excitement. And finish this sentence. Food is, and you can make it as long as you want it to be. So food is.
I think food is what food is. You know, at first you want to say food is sustenance, but it's so much more. I think it's...
Mine would be food is love.
Food has to be love. And you know, it'll break borders. You hear people talk about it. It sounds cliche, but I think once you start sharing food and stuff like that, people get a better understanding of who you are, where you're from, and so many different aspects of a person, right? And this is what I love about Trinidad and Tobago. I remember I was never Hindu, I was never a Muslim, but come Diwali time, Mommy had us fast the day before because we were going to go to the neighbors. Eid, we'll be eating wine and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I love that. We kind of understand each other on that level, if nothing.
Okay. And, you know, in closing, what advice or like what words would you want to leave with everyone? And what message would you like your daughters to learn?
Keep up the tradition more than anything. And that's the one thing that worries me is that I don't want to leave unfinished business kind of thing. I want all those things, and there's so much I want to do for our food. I think carrying on tradition is very important, and I think hanging on to your culture. I remember in primary school when my mom would pack me roti and bhaji, and my friends were there with sliced meat sandwiches with the cheese and everything else. I'm like, I'm hiding in the corner here and eating it. But no more. I don't apologize for
You
who I
embrace
am,
it.
where I'm from, and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, that piece of bologna has no real history. That bhaji and that roti and that
Yeah.
curry and that whatever else, we can trace it back to West Africa and India and everywhere else. And there's so much more to it than just what's in front of us, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So carrying on and maintaining that heritage and stuff like that is very important.
All right. Well, I love that answer. And we have 1 minute and 14 seconds before this live ends. So I want to say thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really happy that I had a chance to speak with you because I definitely wanted to learn more about your journey. I watch your videos all the time, like I said, and a lot of my friends have messaged me saying that they wanted to hear from you as well. So I see a bunch of them in the comments going off right now. Yes. So, everyone that's watching, thank you so much for watching as well. I do this series every Tuesday. It's every Tuesday, but given the situation that was happening in Trinidad this week, I had to switch it to Thursday. So next week, I'm actually going to be doing another interview on Thursday, so you guys can watch out from that. But please make sure you follow at Caribbean Pots. He's on YouTube, Instagram, support, buy a cookbook, support the tradition.
It's not available.
Oh, yes, it's not available for when it comes out. But, support the culture, support him. Share his page, share his YouTubes, try the recipes. It's a lot of really, really good food. And just the way he prepares everything, everything just tastes really good. So, and now I'm hungry, by the way. So, yes, I'm going to save the live, but again, I have 10 seconds. So thank you so much. Everyone stay safe, stay smiling, stay blessed, and I'll see you guys.